Welcome to Discovering the Law. My name is Lucy Rivera, and today we continue the diplomacy series with a very special guest, the Consul General in Boston from Portugal, Consul Araujo, Consul Tiago Araujo.
Oh, thank you for having me, Lucy. It's a great pleasure speaking with you and to your viewers about Portugal and about what we do here in Boston.
It's our honor that you're here, Consul General Araujo. Consul General, would you please tell us what are the priorities of the Consulate of Portugal now that you are Consul General in Boston?
No, of course. Each consulate is dependent on the social and political context of the city where it is based. Here in Boston, we have two main areas. One is we provide support and we accompany a vast Portuguese community that has been established here for many, many decades. And also, we try to benefit from the fact that Boston is one of the world's most important centers of science, innovation, economic development. And one of my priority is to take some of that experience back to Portugal, the way universities, companies work together to produce science and economic development.
Yes, the relationships are definitely very close. So with that said, what are some of your services that you provide and for whom do you provide the services?
Of course. As I mentioned, we have a vast Portuguese community in this region of the US. So we provide consular services to them. For example, we issue identity cards, passports, all kinds of documentation, certifications. For instance, we also receive applications for citizenship, which in the last few years, the number has been growing. The interest in Portugal in acquiring Portuguese citizenship is growing. And in Portugal, you only need to have one parent or one grandparent or be married to a Portuguese to apply for Portuguese citizenship. And we believe that we believe that people can be 100% Americans and 100% Portuguese, having dual citizenship, and we receive those applications. The number is growing. And in the second area, we also, of course, there is increasing interest in Portugal, so we also issue visas to foreigners who wish to visit Portugal. Of course, U.S. citizens don't need a visa for short stay visits to Portugal and other EU countries. But if they want to live there, to work there, they need visas, and we very gladly issue them.
Great to hear. For people who want to, United States citizens who visit Portugal, how long can they visit?
Yes, they can stay for 90 days, each period of 6 months, so they can visit regularly without any need for a visa, for tourism, for business, for short stay visits. If they want to stay longer, and many of them now want to stay longer, they can apply for a visa, and we help them with that, to study, to work from there, to retire to Portugal. We help them acquire their visas.
Beautiful. Tell us about the historic relationship between Portugal and this region of the United States, the United States in general, New England.
Yes. The relations between Portugal and the US have always been extremely positive. I think we were the first neutral country to recognize the US's independence. And I can speak a little bit about the history of my country. I'm not sure if everyone has present the map of Europe and our position in Europe, but we're the closest European country in the European mainland from the US, from this coast of the US.
Yes.
And throughout our history, we always used that position to our openness to the world using the ocean, using the Atlantic. And we have, across the Atlantic, of course, you have the US, and if you look across the Atlantic, you have Massachusetts, you have Boston right across the Atlantic. We even have one of our most famous poets wrote a poem that depicting the European continent as a human figure lying down, with, for instance, the one arm being Italy and another arm being the British Isles, etc. And the face of Europe was Portugal, and that face was looking to the Atlantic, to the west, and right across is the Massachusetts, Boston, and for different reasons that became the part of our relationship with the US. For instance, I can tell you that the first Consul General of Portugal arrived in this region of the US in 1822, so more than 200 years ago, not many years after the US became independent. And I think that that long consular presence is explained by two main reasons. Of course, the presence of a vast Portuguese community, a very important Portuguese community, but also the very nature of Boston as a center of economic activity linked to the maritime routes across the Atlantic, which were very important for Portugal. So I think we always had in our history very good relations with the main maritime power of each era, and the US, of course, remains important for us to guarantee our prosperity, the links in Europe and the US.
This is extremely interesting. I want to ask you about the concentration of Portuguese people in Boston, and however, you did mention a poet, the Portuguese poet.
Yes, Fernando Pessoa.
Fernando Pessoa.
Fernando Pessoa, yes.
Pessoa.
Yes. Possibly one of the most important poets in the Portuguese language.
Thank you. So speaking of Portuguese language, what's the concentration of Portuguese descent people in Massachusetts? Where are they distributed?
Of course. I can tell you that when I knew that I was going to be posted to Boston, I tried to learn as much as possible about our community here, but nothing could have prepared me for what I found here. It's incredible. It has been an amazing experience. It's a very hard-working, well-integrated, increasingly successful Portuguese community. According to the U.S. Census, around 265,000 residents in Massachusetts identify as Portuguese. So it's a vast number. Not all of them have Portuguese citizenship, but they identify as Portuguese, which is relevant for us. And they are all across Massachusetts. We have a vast concentration in the south, for instance, New Bedford, Fall River, but also in the greater Boston area, in Boston, Cambridge, a very important center, Somerville, Lowell, many Portuguese in Lowell, Peabody, Hudson, Stoughton, Ludlow, Norwood, scattered all across the territory. And and the first waves of Portuguese started arriving around the 1880s, 1890s. Some of them, a small part, to work in fishing and whaling in cities like New Bedford and Gloucester. But I think the vast majority of those Portuguese came to attracted by the jobs that were offered in the manufacturing, in the mills, textiles, shoe factories in the 19th century, early 20th century, benefiting and contributing also to the industrial revolution here in Massachusetts. But of course, they arrived many decades ago. They came in different waves until the beginning of the 21st century. And what I feel is that those first generations heavily invested in the education of their younger generations. Mm-hmm. And what happens nowadays is that the first generations worked in manufacturing or other industries, but currently the Portuguese work in all areas of activity. They are present in all fields, from some of them the most highly qualified Portuguese working in the industry, in universities, in the research centers. So it's a very successful transformation of our community based on the investment in education.
And the history of the Portuguese community in Massachusetts is comes from the industrial.
Yes, it started as a most of those Portuguese, a vast majority, not all of them, came from the Azores, 9 islands in the center of the Atlantic, so the mid-Atlantic, and they came to work in the mills, first in those cities along the Merrimack, in Lawrence, in Lowell, a vast Portuguese community, but what I feel is that the relation between Portugal and the U.S. in our community, in this region of the U.S., has somewhat accompanied the transformation of Boston, Massachusetts itself. So, when there were jobs in the mills, they came to work in the job in the mills. But now, currently, Boston and Massachusetts are centers of science, innovation, and I feel that many Portuguese are coming to not only coming from Portugal to work in those areas, but the younger generations of those first generations of immigrants went to university and now can contribute to those highly qualified fields.
Very interesting. Just to pivot a little bit from the history, speaking of history, why is June? Is it history? Is it the Portuguese Heritage Month declared by the consulate or by the state?
No, of course. In Portugal, our national day is June the 10th, and we celebrate in Portugal and all over the world where we have Portuguese. But here in Massachusetts, I think that the state, the Commonwealth, recognizes the importance of the Portuguese, and for the past almost 40 years, the state of Massachusetts declares June as the month of Portuguese heritage. Nice. So the governor declares June as the month of Portuguese heritage, and we have a session at the State House every year, where we have currently around 13 to 15 members of the State House have Portuguese ancestry, so a very important number. And we organize the Heritage Day of Portugal. This year will be exactly on the June the 10th. And all over Massachusetts, there are flag-raising ceremonies, celebrations. In Lowell, for instance, one of the most important will be on June the 10th, and in Peabody it will be on June the 7th. In other places in different dates, but we have many activities all over Massachusetts. And I think that all of that, those celebrations, have as its highlight the Boston Portuguese Festival, which is June
8th.
June the 8th this year. It's every year it's a different date, but this year it's June the 8th, and it brings together the Portuguese and Americans from all over the Commonwealth to the Boston City Plaza with concerts, with music, with food, and I would urge everyone that can to join us that day, June the 8th, to celebrate the Portuguese heritage, or to learn a little bit more about our culture, our music, our food.
That's wonderful. I want to follow up and ask you, what are you commemorating and celebrating on the June the 10th? We have 10 minutes left around, but I wanted to thank everyone for listening to Consul General in Boston from Portugal, Consul Araujo, Tiago Araujo. So please tell us, what do you commemorate on June the 10th?
Well, of course, we celebrate our National Day, and all over the world we celebrate
it's the day.
Our language, our people, our country, but also our communities abroad. It's an important part of our celebrations. It could, of course, they had to be important here in Massachusetts because we have a vast Portuguese community. And I think that in somewhat is also linked to the importance of the Portuguese language here in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Because I'm sure you're aware, Portuguese is the third most spoken language in Massachusetts after English, and Portuguese, and Spanish, the third most spoken language. And the Portuguese is spoken, is the official language of 9 countries around the world in different continents. And it's very interesting, well, in my opinion, that those 9 countries, no 2 of those 9 countries have borders with each other. So they're in different continents. Unlike other language-based communities, it's very decentralized. For instance, we have Portugal in Europe, we have Brazil in South America, we have 5 countries in Africa.
Cape
Verde, São Tomé e Príncipe, Guinea-Bissau, Angola, and Mozambique.
Wonderful.
And we have East Timor in Asia. So it's a very diverse Portuguese-speaking community, and in particular, 3 of those countries have very important communities here in Massachusetts: Portugal, Brazil, and Cape Verde. And I can tell you, for instance, that the UNESCO instituted the World Day of Portuguese Language that is celebrated worldwide. And here, in May 8th, in Harvard, we will have a joint celebration between Portugal, Brazil, and Cape Verde, with a debate on the geopolitics of the Portuguese language, with the documentary, music. That I'll also invite you to. It's a free entry, so anyone that can join us on May the 8th.
Thank you. It sounds fascinating. I definitely will take you on that. Portugal is beautiful. It's one of my favorite tourist destinations. Porto in general. Tell us about that. Talk to us about Portugal as a tourist destination. Tell us about that industry. And
of course, I think the interest in Portugal is growing worldwide, and in particular in U.S. society. I think possibly it's because it's one of the safest and most stable countries in the world. I think we are medium-sized in European standards. The food is good in my opinion. The weather is not bad. So what I feel is that people are visiting Portugal, but also choosing to live there and work from there. Because in parts of our territory, I think we have been able to develop some innovation hubs, science, technology, economic activity, and I think people are trying to discover what we have there, and we are helping them create those links between the U.S. and Portugal, so they can, if they wish so, move there and work from there and help us in a collaborative way to develop our own science and technology.
Investment, work.
Yes. Also, U.S. companies investing in Portugal in different fields, but mostly in technology, innovation, data centers, for instance, and we are very open to receiving those investments on the part of the U.S. and also people that wish to move there, to retire there, for instance. There are also a growing number of not only Americans, but people from other nationalities that want to benefit from our climate, from our from our country, and we will welcome them, of course.
Well, I share that enthusiasm, but I think in order to live there, you have to learn the language. Are there any efforts from from the consulate to teach Portuguese here in Boston or New England?
Of course. I think around the world currently we have around 260 million people speaking Portuguese. So it's the language is vast, expanding, and here in Massachusetts, the Portuguese is taught in many schools. I can tell you that all over the U.S. we have around 20,000 students learning Portuguese in public schools, and of those, around half are in Massachusetts. So a huge number. And for instance, we have the coordination for Portuguese teaching in the U.S. is based in Boston. Our coordination of Portuguese teaching in the U.S. And with the support of Camões Institute, a government-based organization to promote the Portuguese language and culture. We support schools with materials, with books, with training for teachers, helping the schools identify and recruit teachers of Portuguese. And for instance, we have a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in Massachusetts that covers most of those areas.
Great. I want to hone more into that. We only have 3 minutes left. I do want to talk a little bit about the interaction and the relationship between Cape Verde and Brazil and Portugal. Their interactions and relationships of these communities, because as you say, they're different. They're not the same country, but they all share the same language and culture.
Yes, the relations are very, very good, in particular in Massachusetts and in our diasporas. I can tell you, for instance, that we had our democratic revolution we're celebrating now 50 years of our democratic revolution. That was also accompanied by the decolonization. So we became free from dictatorship, but 5 countries in Africa became independent, and that opened up the way for very fruitful collaboration, and we maintained very, very positive relations with those countries. What I can tell you is that all over the world, the Portuguese community, the Brazilian community, and the Cape Verde community live and work side by side. Very positively, and here in Massachusetts you can feel that there is for instance, some of those Brazilians, the Cape Verdeans, of Portuguese have dual citizenship of the other countries. So we have many Cape Verdeans that are also Portuguese, many Portuguese that are also Brazilian and Cape Verdean, and they're very positive, our relations.
So we are almost nearing the end of the show. We have maybe 1 minute left. What would you like to leave as your takeaways to our public? We only have maybe 1 minute, that's all.
Yeah, well, maybe I could just tell you that it's been an incredible experience being the Consul General of Portugal in this, and the privilege and the huge responsibility being Consul General of Portugal in this part of the US. I love Boston. I miss Portugal, so I would just urge everyone that have interest in Portugal to visit our country, participate in our activities here in the US with the Portuguese community, in the Boston Portuguese Festival, June the 8th, and in all other celebrations that we're having in June.
Well, Consul General of Portugal, Tiago Araujo, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing with us about your wonderful, beautiful country, very interesting history, your contributions to the world, and your contributions in New England about your important work. If you would like to see the full episode, please look to us at www.discoveringthelaw.com. Thank you, Consul General Araujo. It was great to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Lucy. It was a pleasure.
And for our viewers, thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again.